Welcome to Shop Talk by Elevated Stylists, a podcast for the thriving community of stylists and salon owners, where we discuss topics in business, wellness, mindset, and all things hair. Join us on this journey as we elevate together.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shop Talk. I am Jody.
And I'm Sonia.
And today we have a super special guest. And this episode is for anybody who, is feeling lost or feeling like, oh my God, who am I and why do I operate like this? Because we have Lindsay with us today, and she is going to be chatting all about human design. Thank you so much for joining us, Lindsay.
Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited to start talking about human design and to bring it to the hair world. I'm on a huge mission to bring human design, to introduce human design to as many hairstylists as possible. And when you said answering the question, who am I? That is, my brand is called Find Your Way, and way spelled W-A-I, and it stands for who am I? And when I discovered one of the websites for human design, Genetic Matrix, when you land right on the page, it says human design helped you answer the question, who am I? And so I think we've all asked ourselves that question at one point or another. And so I love that you said that. So synchronistic.
Oh, yeah, I love that, because Lindsay used to be a hairstylist for 10 years. She was one of us. And, now she is really on a mission to help all of us hairstylists really find who they are and why they operate the way that they do. Bring some stress-free vibes.
I love human design. It's like such a really interesting thing. I just recently got into it, and I'm just like now literally obsessed. I'm like, let me go to every gate and figure this out. So before I even talk about gates, can you just give us a little like lowdown of what is human design for these people who don't know human design?
Yes, 100%. And if, as you're listening, if you want to pause this and Google human design chart, that way you can get your chart and you can see what we're talking about. I like Jovian Archive, and I'm sure you'll link it in the show notes, but I would highly recommend doing that. So human design it combines ancient modalities of astrology, Kabbalah, I Ching, the chakra system, and quantum mechanics. And it uses your birth details to create your individualized energetic blueprint. Now, this is the amazing thing about human design. It believes in diversity. Every single one of us are different. There is literally no one on earth that has the same chart as you, has the same mission or purpose on earth as you. And so in a world that doesn't really celebrate diversity, this system does. And the biggest thing that it's helped me with is it's made me feel seen, heard, and validated for being me. I thought I was a weirdo my whole entire life. Human design is like, yeah, girl, you're a freaking weirdo, and this is how you're designed. And that's what I get to do with a lot of my clients and the people I work with, is I get to tell them there's nothing wrong with you. This is how you're designed. So when you get your chart, if you're anything like me, when I pulled mine up, I was like, what the heck am I even looking at? Like, it's so weird. There's weird terminology. There's weird symbols. There's a lot going on. But at the end of the day, there's really only 3 things that everyone needs to know about their human design. And that is your type, which is your energetic aura. There's 5 different types. You're either going to be a manifestor, a projector, a manifesting generator, a generator, or a reflector. And I'm curious, Jody and Sonia, what are you?
I'm a generator.
I'm a projector.
Projector. Love that. Love that dynamic. That's a beautiful dynamic to have as a team, for sure. I'm a manifesting generator. So 70% of the population are generator types. So either a generator like Jody or a manifesting generator like me. And the projectors are really here. Their projectors are 20% of the population. And if you're a projector, and for you, Sonia, if you're here to lead and guide the generator types. You help us harness our energy. And your leaders, and I can go into a little debrief of what all the types mean, but that's number 1. Number 2 is your strategy. Now, each type has a strategy. And I like to say this is how you're putting your body into cruise control. This is how you let your body do its thing. Your body is an all-intelligent vehicle. Think about it. It breathes on its own. It heals itself. Our subconscious mind is literally creating our reality. And our soul, our spirit, who we are, we're designed to be the passenger and just sit and enjoy this ride called life. However, most of us grow up with conditioning and societal conditioning, parental conditioning, whatever. So we're sitting in the passenger seat trying to take over the wheel. And that's why we feel this discord within our body. So the strategy is how you let the body do its thing, how you put your body into cruise control. Now, the last most important thing with human design is your authority. And some charts will say inner authority. Sometimes this will be before your type. So the human design is weird. There's a lot of different like systems out there and different chart generators. So give yourself grace as you're getting into this system. And if you're anything like me and Sonia, like I became obsessed when I learned about it. So they say it takes 7 years to fully live by your design. So you got a lot of time. So chill out. Yeah, it's wild. But your authority is your decision-making mechanism. So society tells us we have to use our brains to make decisions, weigh the pros and cons, think about it logically, and we need that data. But at the end of the day, you have to tap into your body to actually know what's right for you, because your body's in communication with the universe and it knows. It's so intelligent. It knows way more than we even know it knows. So the authority is how you make decisions confidently. And this was a game changer for me because my authority is pretty simple. It's either a hell yes or it's a no. It's never going to be a hell maybe. And I was saying yes to everything. And then I was feeling frustrated because it wasn't in alignment. So now I can confidently say no to people and I can confidently say yes. And I can also receive other people's no's, because I used to feel rejected when people would say no to me. But now I say, thank you for your no. I know how hard it is to say no. And thank you for honoring your body. And that's the other thing is everyone's living by design. It's just unconscious. So when you have the conscious awareness of your energy and how it works, then it becomes magical and a game changer.
I love that. Oh my God. I just need to like breathe for a second. I'm like, oh, yeah. It's just so much to unpack, you know, like when you think about like, who am I? It's like, holy shit. Like you thought that you were this person or this type of person. And then I was shocked when I found out that I was a projector, because I've been living a generator life literally for the last 30 plus years. And when I found out I was a projector, I was like, oh, this makes so much sense.
Right. And that's the thing, like generator types are 70% of the population. So 70% of your clientele, 70% of the people around you, 70% of your staff, if you're a salon owner. So it's really that there's so many layers that human design can help us with behind the chair. The first part is turning the spotlight inward and knowing about yourself and your energy. But then it's understanding 70% like of your clients are generator types and they need to respond to things. So you can use it in your social media. You could use it in your marketing. You can use it in your consultation. You're like, well, what do you want to do with your hair today? That's an open-ended question. If you have a generator in your chair, generator type, they're like, I don't know. Like, but if you say, do you want to go blonde today? Then they have something to respond to. So it's so magical. I have a friend who she gets her in her consultation forms. She figures out her client's human design so she can cater the experience to them. I was like, that is so innovative. Cool. Yeah.
That's really a layer cool. Deep. That's a layer deeper. Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine is gut intuition. So just, it's that yes or no.
Yeah.
It's either yes or no. And it's so true. I think a lot of us, especially as hairstylists and salon owners, like we are constantly saying yes to everything because we're people pleasers. And I think that can drain us so much, so much if we're just giving our yeses away for free and not really, like you said, honoring our bodies when we feel that gut, like no, or maybe.
100%. And so if you're a generator type, every type has a theme, and whatever route you want to go on in this conversation, you just let me know, because I can go all the places. But before I learned about human design. So for me, and for if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, your theme for life when you're living by design is satisfaction. And when you're out of alignment, when you're not living by design, you're going to be frustrated. And there's a lot of frustrated generator types out there. And that's generally when you're frustrated, it's because you said yes to something that's a no, or it's because you're trying to force things to happen instead of responding to the universe, which is your strategy. So I didn't even know about human design, but my best client, literally best client, she paid the most money. She came in every 4 weeks. We were doing fashion colors and she would buy all of the products. She was like, to the best client ever. And I was shifting. I didn't want to do fashion colors anymore. I didn't want to do high impact blonde. I wanted to do balayage. And so I did her hair a couple of times, what we had been doing. And then I was like, this is not lighting me up anymore. And so I had to break up with her. And I was like, Gretchen, I love you. You're literally my best client. You followed me to all of the salons I've moved to, but I don't want to do what you want to do with your hair. If you want to do what I want to do, then we'll be together for life. But if you don't want to do what I want to do, I can't do your hair. And you don't want me doing your hair when I don't want to do your hair. And it's that frustration. And when you say yes to a client that's actually a no, they feel that frustration. And then they could potentially think, why does she hate me? Or why, maybe not hate, but why doesn't she like me? Or why don't they like me? Because your body speaks louder than your words. And so it's not good for any of us to be saying yes to things that we don't want to, but especially with that energy, because your energy leads. And so when I tell that story often, because literally it doesn't make logical sense to break up with her, but my body, it was a no. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't very happy, but I stood my ground. I was like, you don't want me doing your hair when I don't want to do your hair. And here's a bunch of other people who will be a great fit for you. So it's really powerful when you can really honor that.
That's so powerful that you had the courage to do that. I love, because like it's because we're just stuck in the money game, we're stuck in the hustle and the chase, and we forget to like that we're artists and we really actually need to enjoy what we're doing. And if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then the output is not the same. So I have a question for you. Like how could we as hairstylists and salon owners, how can we use our human design to craft kind of like a craft that we love?
That's such a good question. I mean, I think it really boils down to, regardless of your human design, do what you love. Stop doing services that you don't like. Stop taking on clients that you don't like. Like you were saying, the money, it was the money for a lot of things for me. Or it was like, do everything, I think that some people do well with specializing, but sometimes also give yourself permission to shift. As a manifesting generator, I am a multi-passionate person. And during my hair career, I did fashion colors, I did balayage, I did high impact blondes, I did brunettes, and I pivoted. And my clients kind of followed me, and I kind of left some, they shifted and moved to someone else. But giving yourself permission to follow what lights you up. Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing too, I was teaching a masterclass on Monday, and one of the stylists, she was like, I don't know if I want to do hair anymore. And I said, and we had been talking about the mental chatter that goes on of like, oh my God, they hate their hair, and the stress and the anxiety and the people pleasing and all of that. And I said, is it the craft? You don't like the craft anymore? Or is it the thoughts of the overwhelm and the stress and the anxiety? She said, it's the stress and the anxiety, because I love what I do. Mm-hmm. And so when we understand ourselves, when we start doing the inner work, when we start to get rid of those people pleasing ways, start implementing boundaries, only say yes to the things that light us up, then we're lit up and we're like, yes, I'm so excited to go to work today. So I think the easiest way to craft a life that you love behind the chair is to get in tune with who you are and really question, what are the services? What are the people? If you looked at your books today and every single person, you're like, yes, oh my God, yes, oh my God, yes. Like that's what you want to create. And so how do you attract more of those people in your chair?
I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's just being honest with yourself too, right? Like, I love that you just took that approach of just like do what lights you up. But I think you have to have that conversation within yourself to be like, does this light me up? Because I remember doing services that I absolutely hated. And even being a cutting specialist, I also hated doing certain types of haircuts.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another thing too. It's like you just learn to say yes more than you learn to say no. And sometimes you need to reverse the narrative.
100%. 100%, especially because 70% of the population need to be doing things that light them up. And so I think it's an interesting thing. I see a vision of the future where more salon owners will know, because as a salon owner, knowing your own human design, but then knowing your team's human design. So knowing, okay, this maybe the projectors, they say that projectors should only work 4 hours a day. I don't subscribe to that. It's really about crafting, like overwhelm and burnout is huge for projectors because like you said, you were living a generator life. And so that is a thing. And anytime I come across projectors who are working like 12-hour days, 5 days a week, I'm like, you're going to burn out. And that will create physical problems. Like a lot of projectors burn out in their 40s. So it's understanding how each design is working and how they operate and how their energy works and being able to cater to them instead of having a cookie cutter. This is how everyone operates in your business. It's having a little bit more leniency and flow with, okay, you're a generator. This is how you're going to best operate. You're a projector. This is how you're going to best operate. So having the foundation of your business, but kind of shifting a little bit based upon the energy types, which I think would be a game changer in creating more. I was booth rent the majority of my career, and I loved running my own business. And now I love how people are shifting into commission in a booth rental sort of way, like giving them more creative freedom and whatnot. I love that, the shifting of the industry. But I think it's really understanding everyone's energy, and the environment is so important. So many people, every time I didn't like the environment at a salon, peace out, I'm out. Like, I left so many times, like it doesn't feel good anymore, I'm out. And so that's the other thing too, is it creates harmony, like for the stylist. Oh, you're a projector. This is why you don't have as much energy, or this is why you do those things, or this is why you're giving me advice all the time without being asked. Like there's a lot of, you start understanding people in a different way, which is, that's the other, like, understand yourself first, but then understand the people around you. My mom's a projector. We have not had a good relationship my whole entire life. I'm 37. And in the last year, due to healing and inner work, but a big part of human design, I now have the best relationship with her. We talk every week. I feel so seen by her. I receive her love, and it's been a game changer. So it's such a powerful system in so many ways.
I think it's bringing compassion to others around you, right? To have compassion about like, oh, this is why, you don't have as much energy, or this is why you have trouble making decisions, or, it's nice to be able to understand how you said, like, of course you work, but how your team works as well. It's like bringing that impactful leadership into your environment and really having compassion and empathy for the people around you.
100%. And really as a salon owner or a team leader, all you really need to know is strategy and authority. Because if you can encourage your team to live by their strategy, to help teach them or encourage them to put their body into cruise control, like think about how magical that is. And then decisions, like when you know how your team makes decisions and you can empower them to make decisions. And there's one aspect of human design where I won't get into the details of it, but it's one aspect where certain 30% of the population are chameleons, they're shapeshifters. They take on the identity of certain people, the people they're around. And so if you have someone who has this aspect of their chart, then you know, if they're like, I don't like working with this client, then you know to put that client with someone else. Because when someone has this aspect in their chart, if they don't feel good around someone, it's a big part of because they don't want to take on their identity. But think about how many people are taking those clients that they don't feel good with them, even if they should feel good with them. And so there's just so many nuances to it, that just living life in more flow and harmony. And like you said, having more compassion, because you see people in a different way. We often think like everyone thinks like us, feels like us, acts like us. And that is 100% not true. So when you have that awareness energetically, it's like, oh, okay.
And I think too that I think traditionally salons were designed in a way that there was like only one format, where like everybody had to fit this format because everything was so money driven and time driven. And I think that now, in a day where there's so much diversity, and we have to honor that within people, and not just like what we see on the physical level, but what we see on an internal level. Like everyone has different emotions, everyone has a different experience, everyone has a different perspective and a perception of what they see. And I think that as leaders, it's so important to be in tune or attuned to that, so that you can actually lead your team in an authentic way. Because I remember the way that Jody and I used to lead our team was just in that box, because it was the only thing we knew. And then when we started to practice that more of that inner work, and although human design is something new to us, but we've done other inner work that showed us kind of the way, we realized that, hey, everyone has their differences, even as business partners. Knowing that you're so different is so important, because she works at a different level that I work at, right? And vice versa. And so I think like knowing these things, like if we can work differently, then our team has to be able to work differently as well. And we have to honor that maybe an hour haircut for that one person needs to be an hour and a half for the other person. And like, and how can we adjust that so that everybody is in favor of what's working for them, instead of like, hey, this is the format that we have and you have to follow this format.
Oh, that is so powerful. And there's a huge, I'm forgetting the percentages, but I think it's almost 50-50. So the root center in human design is the square on the bottom when you're looking at your chart. So I guess I'll pin myself and I'll explain when you're looking at your chart. Yeah. Let me explain what you're looking at. So as you're listening, especially if you just got your chart and you're just new to human design, you're like, what the hell am I looking at? The chart, there's a little body graph. It's called the body graph. So there's a body on there, and there's 9 shapes. And those shapes are based off the chakra system. So that's where you're transmitting and receiving energy to and from other people. So some shapes will be colored in and some shapes will be white. So the shapes that are colored in, you have consistent access to that energy. It's who you are when you're alone, and you're an influencer. You're constantly transmitting the qualities of that center out into the universe. Now, everything that's white in your chart, that is where you're receiving and amplifying energy from other people. The shapes, the white shapes, are called our wisdom centers, because that's where we're going to school in life, because we're experiencing that energy through other people. When you're by yourself, you don't really have access to that energy. You have access to little tiny pieces. That's where you were talking about the gates, all those little numbers in each shape. Those are based off the I Ching. And I like to think of those as individual personality traits. So if you have some of those, you'll see lines coming out of it. If you have some of those, you have some qualities of that center, but you don't really feel it until you're around someone else who has that defined or colored in. So I have 5 centers white, and I had massive stress and anxiety my whole career behind the chair. And a lot of it had to do with emotions and being an empath. And I know the majority of you listening to this, you probably consider yourself an empath. And I used to think that my clients hated their hair because I would feel it. It felt like they were upset or they didn't like it. Like it just felt like it. And I would attach a story, and then I'd be stressed for like 2 months until they wanted to book again. And I was like, okay, they liked their hair. So each shape, when I work with people one-on-one, which I don't really do anymore, but when I was, those are where all the conditioning happens. That's where all the healing lies. And when you get through the healing, then you see the gift, then you see the magic of that center. So that's a little breakdown of what you're looking at. And what I was talking about earlier, the root center, that's the bottom square. And it'll be brown if it's defined, or it'll be white if it's open. Is yours brown or white, Sonia?
Mine is white.
White. Are you looking at your chart? Yours white too? Mine's white as well. So I feel like this center really impacts the hair world. So I think it's 40% are white or open like us, and then the rest of the population will be brown. So the root center is the center for stress and adrenaline. It's a motor center, it's energy, it's a pressure center, it's a pressure center to get things done. And the shadow side of that, especially when it's white like us, is to feel this pressure to get things done, to relieve the pressure.
Totally. Yep, that's
it's
exactly
like a
what it is.
crock pot. Yeah.
Yes. So imagine you're working in a salon. I remember the girl next to me often, like the stylist next to me, she would do her highlights in 30 minutes and it would be taking me an hour. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what's wrong with me? Because I can't get it done as fast as her. My theory is that they probably had their root center defined. So they had that pressure and adrenaline. Stress and adrenaline are good because it helps us get things done. But if you don't have that, then it takes me longer to do things. And so before I even learned about human design, I just gave myself grace. I take longer to do highlights than the person next to me, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But the people who have that center defined, they have consistent access to the stress and adrenaline to check things off the to-do list, to get things done, to move through the world, and to be able to deal with that stress and adrenaline and pressure. So all of us, especially at the salon, we're like taking in everyone else's stress and adrenaline, and we don't know how to deal with it. So we're overwhelmed. And so it becomes magical. Now, I used to have to-do lists miles long. I don't have any to-do lists anymore. I mean, I do like my top 3 things that I get done every day, but I don't feel this pressure to go, because I listen to my body now, and I trust my body to know, okay, I didn't get 50 things done on my to-do list. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with me. So that one's really powerful.
Yeah, that's so powerful, because I think we just, like you said, like most of the people, if they're a certain way, we just kind of follow suit, right? And it's like, oh, well, they're like that, so I have to be like that. They're doing this, so I have to do this. And so I think it's an opportunity for us to really like tap in. I've kind of been doing this since human design. I've just been really like investigating, being like, is this true? Do I want to do this? Is this in line with, mind you, I don't know as much as I would like to know about my sign. Obviously it's going to take some time, like you said, but it's almost like an invitation to explore. And I think that the more that we can explore ourselves, the more that we can discover the things that are meant for us, because there's just not enough time in this world to just do things that you don't love.
Ooh,
really.
So powerful. I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you're saying I should, I need to, I have to, check yourself, because you're probably out of alignment.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Something else I heard this morning that I thought was such a aha moment was that we're artists, not home wall painters. Like we are not home painters. We are artists. Like it's not a pick your color, put it on the wall type of thing. Like we are meant to really explore the different alleys of creativity that we have inside of us, and not be so constrained to time and to constrained to technique and to everybody has to look the same type of a thing. We're meant to be creative. We're meant to be artists. That's why we chose this industry.
I love that. I love that. That's so powerful. I heard something very similar this morning because I was listening to my audiobook don't know if you guys know Don Miguel Ruiz,
Mhm.
the 4 agreements. He's got another one called the Voice of Knowledge. And he talks about how in the Toltec tradition, he's like, we're not humans, we are actually artists. And so we have the chance to paint our life.
Mm.
And so like the life is our canvas, the life is our canvas, and we can just paint everything we love. So I love that you just said that, Jody, because it's so like in alignment with,
It's a good visual to have.
yeah.
It's like, do I want to be doing this all day, or can I be doing this?
Or
like,
do I want to create? Yeah. Do I want to create?
Do I want to
place?
create, or do I want to, paint by words type of a thing, or paint by numbers?
I love that. And that gave me chills when you said that, Sonia, because, and that's the thing with human design. There's something in, I can't quote it, but it's essentially like your creativity comes out when you know yourself, when you know that your creative genius comes out, when you're not stuck in limited beliefs or stuck doing things that you don't like, or we all know that there's something more. We all know that we can live the life of our wildest dreams. We all know that deep down. Like every single human, I believe, knows that one way or the other. But until you start getting a hold of your thoughts and doing the inner work and healing, and it's not easy. I was saying that to someone the other day. Healing and inner work and personal development and healing is not easy.
No.
Else everyone would be healed and living the life of our wildest dreams all day long. But it's hard, and it's so hard. I've gone through the darkest days of my life, and I wouldn't give it up. I would do it again to get where I am now, because it is so worth it. But we have to go through that dark night in order to, we have to turn that spotlight inward and start looking at all of the things that we thought were wrong with us, or really focusing, instead of running away from the triggers, like looking at them and changing. And change is hard. The body doesn't want to change, but human design gives you that. It's empowered me so much to be able to dive to the depths and to really start understanding who I am. And I was a shell of a person my whole life. And so depressed, shell of a person, you wouldn't even recognize me like a year ago, 2 years ago. And human design and inner work have been that change. So when you do this work, then you let that genius out, then you let that creativity, then you can start being you're more empowered to do these things that you thought maybe you couldn't do.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true, because it is messy. It is hard. And a lot of people don't see that part of it, right? Everybody, I post my workout and Do I post me like bawling my brains out because I'm trying to shed like past trauma? No, but that's how it is. That's what it looks like. And I used to think it was way easier to just shove it all down, but yes, the work is hard, but it's so much easier to chip away at these things and feel happy and feel glimpses of bliss and feel glimpses of joy, instead of just beating yourself up every week, doing the same mistakes, doing the same thing over and over again. Like that to me is harder than doing the work any day.
Yeah. I feel like that compounds too. I always think of like, the more that you live in that mindset, it's like compound interest. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like, you never see you're like, how have I been stuck in this mode for so long? And it's like, because you've made it permanent, and you've made it that something that, and I've lived it before, but when I started to get really acquainted with impermanence and that nothing is like that forever, was like the most freeing moment. Like just 2 days ago, I had like yesterday, not even 2 days ago, I had a meltdown, but thank God it was 2 days ago, because today I'm back on my feet and I'm like, oh, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's great. We just went into a little dark night of the soul, but we're back out. And I think we just have to not attach ourselves to those things and make sure that they don't swim us away.
100%. And I like how you talked about the compound interest, because I was talking to someone the other day and they were just starting their healing journey. And I don't necessarily think that everyone needs to go through a dark night of the soul. I think that's kind of what happens, whether that's a dark night of the soul for a day or a week or a month or a year, whatever. But it's hard in the beginning, but then it just gets so much easier. Now, like you said, like you were feeling your feelings. I had a meltdown the other day too. And I had the meltdown and I sat in the feelings, I sat in the discomfort, and then it went away. And so it gets easier. Life's a spiral.
Mm-hmm.
We're never done. Like,
yeah.
if you think you're done, good luck. Like get ready, because you're not.
Yeah.
And we're constantly evolving, but it gets easier, and the awareness is more like, you have more awareness of, okay, I slipped, or okay, I'm stuck in a limited belief, or oh, this isn't healing. And you can't rush healing. You can't.
Yeah. That's what the self-discovery is so good about, like, and it was hard at first, like to sit there and to think about, like, who am I? What are my values? Like, how do I want to show up? Like, those are hard questions, because you're like, I don't know. I've never asked myself this before. But as soon as you start doing that investigation, or using human design to go deeper and to really feel and figure out why you are the way you are, why you work the way that you are, like you said, like it becomes easier. The awareness is there. So you're able to catch those thoughts. You're able to slow down your thinking. You're able to connect to yourself. That was the thing. I had not been connecting to myself for so many years that I had no clue that I even had a little person living inside me. Like, I had no clue.
Little Jody.
Like, she's just there. And like, I've uncovered her. She had so many walls up. But when you start doing this self-discovery, like me and Sonia always say, it's simple, but it's not easy. Like the things are so simple, but they're not easy. But it gets easier and it gets sweeter. Like, you start to be like, I am in control. I can control my thoughts, It's a wicked feeling.
Also too, I feel like it's such a big confidence boost. And I think that a lot of us struggle with confidence in so many different ways. Confidence is so layered from so many different aspects. But I think that the more that you know about yourself, and I'm generally a confident person, but when I started to look at my human design, I was like, ooh, this is really interesting. Like, how cool am I? I feel like all these things are so wicked. And I started to become more enamored with who I was, or who I am, because I got a little bit more insight. So for anyone that's listening out there, if you need a little confidence boost, like, go and figure out your human design and start to explore it, because you're going to learn so much about yourself that you didn't actually know. And you're going to get some confirmation about, oh, this is why it was like this, or this is why I've been acting like this, or this is the things that I've been hiding within myself that I wish I could just let out a little bit more. And when I discovered these things, I was like, oh, wow, this is kind of really cool. Like, you can actually act out who you are and not feel ashamed, because you just got a kind of confirmation. Like, somebody told you that that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's a permission slip to be you.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though you don't need it, but it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Oh,
sometimes we need permission slips. Have you ever heard on podcasts, this is your permission to let go. This is your permission to move forward. And like, you know what? This is your permission to be who you want to be and who you're supposed to be.
I love that.
I know so many good things on this episode, honestly. We always love to close our episode with a real tea. So a truth, a tip, a takeaway. What can you share with us, Lindsay?
Simply put, know thyself. That's what we've been talking about. And it's start your healing journey. Whatever, there's so many modalities out there. There's so many ways to do it. My top three modalities for healing is human design, meditation, and inner child work. And it's like for you, Jody, we all have a little us that's in us, and the little you inside of you is so creative. It's so joyful. It's so loving. And we forget that. We build the wall. So unleashing your little you is where a lot of your genius lies, and where a lot of the creativity lives. And I just started painting, and I never thought I was a painter before. And I just like go wild, and I look at it, I'm like, wow, I'm actually good. Like, this is cool. It's fun. And so really tap into those things, tap into play more. So those were a lot of things, but that's my big T.
I love it.
All amazing things.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. We're going to put all the details of Lindsay in the show notes, how you can connect with her. I know you have some master classes coming up, and she'll be in our world again, because I'm sure we're going to continue this conversation. We'd love to have you in our membership and do a special episode for our members. And if y'all are hairstylist salon owners, get your human design, know who you are, and live by your design.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Bye,
everybody.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. If you love what you're hearing and want to connect deeper, we invite you to join our membership program on elevatedstylist.com/membership.